It is time for everyone's favorite segment this week in Shohei Ohtani news. And this week, Shohei Ohtani did it again. He was dominant on the mound once again as his Cy Young campaign. I truly believe Shohei Ohtani is going to win the Cy Young this year. His Cy Young campaign continues. Last week, we saw the on-base streak come to an end. Well, this week, another streak has come to an end. His offensive struggles. They're gone. They're out the door. He went through a bit of a rough patch. I feel like once a year he goes through a bit of a rough patch. Well, this year he got it out of the way in April. He struggled offensively. He got out of it, and his numbers have skyrocketed since he got out of it. So we'll talk about his offense and the leaps forward that he has taken. Also, to finish up this week, he had a lot of fun. For Shohei to go through the struggles offensively that he was, and still love the game of baseball so much and get through it and have fun with former teammates in Seiya Suzuki and his former coach, first base coach Clayton McCullough with the Marlins. He was having a lot of fun out there, but a lot of back and forth between all of those guys, which we'll talk about at the end. But we're going to start, as we do every week, with his start on the mound, because every week we do This Week in Shohei Ohtani news the day after he pitches. And he pitched Tuesday night, and man, did he pitch well. But not in the traditional sense that we're used to seeing Shohei Ohtani dominate. And he ended up going 6 innings pitched, 2 runs, 1 earned. So only 1 earned run. He walked 3 guys. He hit a batter, and he struck out 9. So that stat line immediately tells you, okay, kind of all over the place, still got through it. And that's what exactly Shohei Ohtani did. And he had to do this a few starts ago as well. So to this point in the year, this is why I'm actually more confident in saying Shohei's going to win the Cy Young Award this year. He'll get this figured out. It looked like he was going through it a little bit with his delivery, his mechanics. He couldn't find himself. Yet you look up at the end of the day and you open up the box score in the morning and you say he gave up 1 earned run and struck out 9 guys and got through 6 innings. He ended up throwing 104 pitches. That's the most pitches he has thrown as a Los Angeles Dodger. So I've said it time and time again. What is going to win Shohei the Cy Young Award this year is that he is pushing that extra inning or those extra couple of outs. I was watching the game. I thought in the 5th inning with 1 or 2 outs, they got a hit in the 5th inning, and I thought that might be it for him. And he pushes past that 95 pitch mark and into the hundreds to get through that inning that he's going to need to do that this year. And he ended up throwing 104 pitches. He struck out another batter, and he ends up working through, once again, another start where he doesn't have his best stuff. Working through a start where he's looking for his command and getting through, and at the end of the day, it looks dominant. So his ERA on the year now skyrockets once again from 0.38 to 0.60. That is unbelievable. Just 2 earned runs in 30 innings pitched this year for Shohei Ohtani. But once again, it was a back-to-back starts at this point against the Giants and against the Marlins, back-to-back starts with 0 run support. 0 runs scored for Shohei Ohtani in back-to-back starts. Dodgers end up not getting him any run support in San Francisco, not getting him any run support here. And once again, the outcome not turning out how Shohei or the Dodgers wanted here. But he's had five total starts this year and 8 total runs scored while he's in the game. Total runs. It's been remarkable, his pitching, lack of runs being scored, and remarkable the lack of runs being scored on offense as well. It's just been ridiculous. But at the end of the day, dominant start where once again, this is a start where he would have walked a couple guys, hit a couple guys, and all of those guys end up coming around one way or another. He was walking guys, but he was able to work through it and get guys out and strike out a bunch of guys. Ended up with 9 more strikeouts. Fastball velocity was up. I also thought this was interesting. We saw him, and if you watch these videos right here, you can see that Shohei was messing with timing a little bit. And we've seen him do that a couple times this year. But this one was interesting because we saw him out of the windup. And I'm going to play two videos side by side. This first one's going to be his typical windup where he takes his step back. And it's pretty subtle. He takes his traditional big step back, lifts his leg, and then it's pretty quick to go to home, right? Back, up, down, and go. Well, then in this next video, what we're going to see is him take his typical step back, lift his leg, and it's a little bit slower. Now, it's tough to see, but it's a little bit slower on after his leg lift coming back down. It's not a pause, but it's a little bit of like slow motion and then an explosion. And that's cool because we've seen Shohei do timing, mess with some hitter timing a few different ways this year. And I may have missed it, certainly, but this one last night, or Tuesday night in his start, was one of the first times I've seen him do it in this way. And it's pretty cool. So Shohei Ohtani, just 2 earned runs given up in his 30 innings on the mound this year. He is certainly the Cy Young favorite currently in the National League at a 0.60 ERA. And another good start, another dominant start, and another start where the Dodgers just score 0 runs for him. And he winds up, not with a win, which is frustrating for him to be pitching this well and not racking up the wins, especially when there are still some baseball writers that rely on wins. Not rely on wins, but you need to rack up wins if you want to win the Cy Young Award. And right now, Dodgers just are not scoring for him. And it was another start where he was not in the lineup offensively. So this is now the second time this year, and I said we'd see this a few times. I felt like we were going to see it more throughout the year, especially I think this year he wants to win the Cy Young Award. He's pushing for the Cy Young Award, and he's giving 95% of his attention to pitching. Well, he wasn't in the lineup, and I think we're going to see that a few times this year, and he was just able to focus on his pitching. I'm sure he was pissed off about it. I mean, he wants to hit. I know this is a give and a take, and it's a conversation, and Shohei ultimately is the one that okays it. But I know he's not like happy about not being in the lineup. He wants to be in there, especially because he's not getting any run support. He's got to get him. It's like, don't take this out of context. The Dodgers are incredible. But it's like the Angels all over again when if he wasn't driving himself in, he wasn't going to win ball games. He needs himself in the lineup for the Dodgers to score runs, at least right now. But I've just been so impressed with his ability and these couple of starts that he hasn't been his sharpest, and his ability to push through that and to end up in the box score having a good dominant start and striking out 9 guys, giving up 1 earned run in 6 innings. That's a really, really good start. Let's talk about his offense this week. Offensively, Shohei Ohtani went through an 0 for 12 stretch. He was 0 for 12 heading into Saturday's game. Going through an 0 for 12 stretch, he was hitting .237 with a 794 OPS. Not great. OPS, fine. Fine. Batting average, not good. Well, in his 3 games since then, since that 0 for 12 stretch, he broke out of the 0 for 12 stretch on Saturday with an opposite field single. And look, call this single what you want. It wasn't hit very hard, but to me, it shows exactly what Shohei is trying to do. When he is going well, he is staying inside of baseballs and driving them to the opposite field. And this single, this opposite field blooper of a single, looked to me like he said, I am done rolling over baseballs. I am going to do whatever I can to stay inside the baseball and hit it the other way. And he did. And he broke out of that stretch. First and foremost, you're not trying to break out of a stretch with a 5 for 5 game. You're trying to get a hit. So he got a hit, and then it took off from there. Starting from that hit on, Saturday through now, through Tuesday. He didn't hit Tuesday. But in his days since then, last 3 games, he's 7 for 11, which is an average of .636. And his batting average has raised from .237 to .278. 41 points higher in just 3 games. His OPS has gone from 794 to 898. I tell you all the time, Shohei goes through these stretches, I feel like once a year. He got it out of the way in April. And it's so early, and I said it a couple weeks ago. We're like a 3 for 5 or a 4 for 4 game away from him almost hitting 300. And at this point, it's not even that. The average skyrockets when you're going well, and now he is going well, and we've seen him. And again, I talked about him going the other way. That single tells you everything. We'll take it one step further. The home run in this past week off of a lefty for the Cubs, the home run, lefty stays inside the ball and launches it to deep left center field for his home run. That is Shohei Ohtani going at his best. So he breaks out of his slump, and now he's really in a good offensive stretch. I guarantee you he didn't want to sit offensively because he's really found it right now. But 7 for 11 in his last 3 games with some power. OPS skyrockets, batting average skyrockets, and now all of a sudden everyone's saying, oh, he's so focused on pitching. He's not caring about hitting this year. He's going to struggle a little bit. Pump the brakes. All of a sudden, we're sitting here, and this week in Shohei Ohtani news, a week later, and Shohei Ohtani is top 25 in all of Major League Baseball in OPS at 898 and runs scored at 21. And it happened just like that. So he broke out of it offensively. He's back. Offensive numbers skyrocketing. Pitching, great on the mound. And this is why we do it, right? The last couple of weeks, it's been offensive stretch or on base streak is going. We can talk about that. Or last week, it was his pitching's been great. And on these weeks, we get to celebrate when everything is going right for Shohei Ohtani. And this was one of those weeks. At least the back end of the week, offensively, he found it, he got going, and he's good to go. Couple fun moments for Shohei Ohtani this week. The Cubs and the Marlins were in town. Cubs came in town at the end of last week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And he has a former teammate in the World Baseball Classic, former or current countryman in Seiya Suzuki, and they just love each other. I feel like they're best friends, but I feel like this with everybody that Shohei interacts with that he's come across, which just goes to show you the guy that Shohei is. But he's playing the Cubs, and every single time that Shohei Ohtani gets on base, and I would love to hear from you guys in the comments because I'm sure there's a rhyme or a reason or like an explanation. I would love to hear what it is he's doing, but every time he got on base or saw Seiya Suzuki, he was doing his new current celebration when he gets a hit or a homer, which is seemingly like throwing something or like I don't even know what it is, but he kept doing it to Seiya Suzuki to the point where I know Seiya Suzuki loves Shohei, but Seiya would literally like look at him a couple times, he'd smile, and then he wouldn't react, and then when he wouldn't react, Shohei would get more bothered by the fact that Seiya Suzuki wasn't reacting to him, and he would keep doing it, and all of a sudden you see Seiya Suzuki just be like, you can't faze me. You can't faze me. I'm not going to react. Which was awesome, but he just kept pestering Seiya Suzuki. And then the Marlins came in town, and his former first base coach, Clayton McCullough, is in the dugout. And you saw him in the first game, acknowledge him. Clearly, they're friends, and he has a lot of respect for him. You saw Shohei acknowledge him. But then, every time when Shohei was getting hits, he'd get over to first base. He'd do his typical helmet tap with the first base coach, which used to be Clayton McCullough. So he'd do the helmet tap, and then he'd look at him and like air helmet tap him. And Clayton McCullough looked at him and laughed and kind of shooed him away as well. So just a lot of fun on the bases for Shohei. One thing, he's the greatest baseball player of all time, and he has a lot of fun playing the game of baseball, which is what makes him so good at it, right? Like for me, I played professionally for many years, and I struggled to have the fun that he is having because I wasn't as good, you know? Like, it's easier to play the game of baseball when you realize it's a game. It's also easier to play when you're the greatest of all time. But when you're having fun and remembering that it's a game, it's easier to play it, and he's really good at doing that. He's a really good baseball player that's really good at having fun, and I've always appreciated that about him. And just another great week for Shohei Ohtani. So this week in Shohei Ohtani news comes every single week the day after he pitches. This week, he pitched Tuesday night. He pitched 6 innings pitched, 104 pitches, the most as a Dodger, 1 earned run, and 9 strikeouts. and he's 7 for his last 11 at the plate, with an OPS that has gone up over 100 points and a batting average up over 40 points. And that's a pretty good all-around week for the man himself, Shohei Ohtani. Cy Young campaign marches on. Thank you all for watching this week in Shohei Ohtani news. Again, this comes out every day after he pitches. We'll have John Smoltz on the show every week as well. That's going to typically be towards the end of the week, either Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in that range. I'm going to try and do it more on Saturdays, but check that out if you haven't. Please subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, it does really help when you subscribe. We talk about Shohei every week. Every Monday episode, we talk about everything around the league, every team, power rankings, team of the week, biggest storylines, all of that stuff. John Smoltz, Shohei Ohtani, we are rolling here this year on Flippin' Bats, and I hope you all check it out and appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, and please leave a comment. Really do. Tell me what Shohei is doing. I'm sure there's a story behind that move that he's doing now when he hits homers or to Seiya Suzuki, that whole thing. I appreciate every one of you. We will be back in a couple of days with our John Smoltz episode, where every week the Hall of Famer from the Atlanta Braves joins us. I appreciate you all. I love you guys. And until John Smoltz episode, remember, find your bat and flip it. Peace.